So, back for another VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Klefki. I think that if you are going with dual screens, Klefki is better at it than Grimmsnarl is now. That's a big claim, because Grimmsnarl was the go-to for doing that in the previous generation, but I think the big thing that sets Klefki apart, slightly, is Trick Room. It now gets Trick Room. It didn't have that in previous generations. That is quite big for Klefki, because it can go with a dual screen setup, and bulk out your team even further. But generally, if you're going with Trick Room, your team is slower than the average team, supposedly. Because then you want to be slower so you can make use of Trick Room. That affords you more room for bulk, which would stack even further on top of Light Screen and Reflect. Because if you're going for a faster speed control with like Thunderwave and all that, then your team is probably faster and you don't have as much room for bulk. So it doesn't stack as well with the screens. It will still bulk you out, but not to the extent that it will stack on top of if you have extra bulk as well. So Trick Room is going to be very good with dual screens, for sure, because you can always just go with dual screens and not even bother with speed control, bulk yourself out and you'll be able to take the hits. Or if you need to, immediately just set up Trick Room, if you're going to be slower than the opponent, so then you're sorted. And the attacking move should be Steel Beam. Like, it should, because you want some bulk so you can actually survive some hits. Like, this is able to survive, there's a Life Orb, Ground Terror, Earthquake from a Garchomp, if you have set up Reflect. You won't survive Bandit, but you'll survive the Life Orb Garchomp. So, and then rest in Special Defense. So you can just immediately just go for Trick Room if you wanted as well. There's Flying Terror if you wanted to avoid the Earthquakes and set up Trick Room. You can just go for dual screens, like you would normally do with the Grimmsnarl. You can just immediately go for Trick Room. But you wanted to be able to do some damage, because you've got no investment in offenses. Like, you could go Foul Play, there's not much point. Steel Beam is your best chance. Because a nice synergy is actually KOing yourself. Because you can set up Trick Room, like you can dual screens, and if you've gone through 3 turns with Klefki surviving on the field, if you set up the first screen, set up the second screen, now you set up Trick Room. Klefki's done its job, it should KO itself. And Steel Beam does that, while still doing some okay damage. Like, 140 base power is significant enough that even with this minimal special attack investment, it will do a chunk. And that's enough, because it's going to KO itself as well. Because giving the paid switch and something in the back to make use of Trick Room while your screens is up is actually pretty good. So, yeah, definitely Steel Beam. Don't bother with Flash Cannon. Don't bother with Dazzling Gleam. They are pathetic amounts of chip. Not worth it. Go for Steel Beam. It's actually not too bad. So, yeah, this is probably better than Grimmsnarl, I think. Like, I may be wrong with that. It's going to be close, because Trick Room, in my head, pushes Klefki slightly over the edge, because Steel Fairy is the best typing in the game. So, slightly better. Like, Dark Fairy is very good, but Steel Fairy is very good as well. So, yeah, Trick Room is huge for Klefki. You can do it with a slightly more supported set like this, where you don't have to do dual screens. But if you are doing this one, I think that Grimmsnarl does this one better. Because you don't need to commit to wide lens so that you don't miss your metal sounds. You don't have to go wide lens, you can just accept 85% accuracy, but I wouldn't. And then Grimmsnarl can do exactly the same thing, except fake tears, and that's 100% accuracy. So if you're going with something like this, probably should be Grimmsnarl. If you're going with this, probably should be Klefki. But yeah, Steel Beam, still necessary for the same reasons. Metal Sound and Thunderwave are very good support moves, because you can get the extra damage from Metal Sounds. 93% accuracy with the wide lens, 99% accuracy with Thunderwave for the wide lens, so that's pretty good. And then this last one should probably be a screen, whether that's Reflect or Light Screen, just depending on what your team is. So yeah, this set is fine, and it's still good, but this one probably should be Grimmsnarl. Also, this is also a set. This is quite funny. So it gets Calm Mind and Iron Defense with Prankster priority. So you can just bulk yourself out immediately before you're even hit. So then you're taking a hit at +2 defense instead, and you're already super bulky. And then you can Calm Mind on the special hit and make yourself super bulky. And then you've got a weakness policy, so that if they don't hit you super effectively, they're not doing any damage because you prankstered first. But if they are hitting you super effectively, you prankstered first, so you're not taking a effectively super effective hit. It's back down to neutral, and you still get your weakness policy. You get some healing with Draining Kiss, and then you get stored power as well, because you've got lots of ways to boost your offenses. And stored power would be a way of getting around Dondozo as well. Like, they can still Earthquake you, but then that's a good thing, because you've just Iron Defense first. Well, actually, no, they would be unaware of that, but they still activate your weakness policy and give you the stored powers. Stored power would bypass the unawareness, effectively. Not with the plus special attacks, but the stored power will just increase in power, and even if it gets to 200 base power, that's not ignored by unaware. Only the Calm Mind special attack boost would be. But this is probably more of a gimmicky set. It'll be funny when it works, though. But yeah, dual screens. Should you run Grimmsnarl? Because I think you should run Klefki if you're running dual screens now.